The day my mother found out she was dying, she asked me to go out and buy her these clear glass marbles. Dad and I hadn't even known she was ill, which it was nothing new. Whenever you ask my mother if she was ill, she would throw things at you: a sesame bun, the editorial page, a handful of ribbon. Do not, she'd say. Suggest things to suggestible people. Anyway, I brought her the marbles, and she counted 90 of them out and put them in this old glass bowl, which had been sum total great Aunt Elena's estate. Apparently, the doctor had given her 3 months, and she said, great store by doctors. She said she had always believed them because they were the nearest things to the Old Testament that we had. She said, I will give you 2 beats for these young smiley guys. I go for a good stern-throat physician. She wouldn't even have her teeth cleaned by a dentist under 50. So she counted 90 of these clear glass marbles, and then she set them in the bowl on her bedside table, and then she went out and spent $1,200 on nightgowns. She said, in my family, you are only dying when you take to your bed, and that is where I'm going. And she did. We hashed it around. That's it. She couldn't possibly be dying, but the doctor convinced him. I told her, it seemed a little medieval to lay in a state up there, but she said she doesn't want to be distracted from what she loved, us, and what she wanted to maul. And she said, there was nothing outside except supermarkets, dry cleaners, and drugstores. And that, given her situation, they were beneath her dignity. I asked her what she intended to do up there. And she said, study French, visit with us, generally maul, or maybe call a few pals. Study French. She said she had made a pledge to herself years ago that she would die bilingual. That I cried a lot, but she didn't. He was fun to cry with. From then on, the doctor had to come to see her because, as she put it, she came in with a house call, and she was going out with a house call. And all day, every day, she would hold one of these marbles in her hands. Why? She said it makes the day longer. Mother had her own bedroom. It was the way, as always was, for as long as I can remember. She called my father that trasher. That could really get into a nightmare. Apparently early on in their marriage, he flipped over and broken her nose, and that was it, separate bed. Her room was very spare, really. Wooden floor, an old steel and brass bed, oak dresser, the bedside table, and don't ask me why, a hat rack. No pictures on the wall. She never understood how people can look at the same darn things day after day. She said it was bound to deflate the imagination. We'd sit with her after dinner and talk about issues. And she told us she was too far gone for gossip or what we ate for lunch. Then we all turned in. And just in a while, before I drift off. I hear this. Happens every night. After the third or fourth night, I saw one of them on the floor. I started to pick it up. She said, "Leave it!" She said it very sharply. I said, "How come?" And she said, she was learning to let go of them. She passed the time. There was things she wanted. She wrote down a list of children's books from her own childhood, and we got them as many as we could find them from the library. She said they were still the only good book she ever read. She wrote notes to, I don't know how many, maybe 60 or 70 people, and they told us later on that they were sort of little formal goodbyes, each of them recalling some incident or shared something, but nothing significant. But the odd things was she included a recipe in each one of them, a recipe in every one of them. We took out a big cookie tin full of snapshots. However, it never became a scrapbook. She liked that. Then she showed my father how to do the medical insurance and how she handled the accounts. We went through her jewelry. Then she wrote down the name of their roofers, plumbers, and air conditioning people, and she called it wrapping it up. "Well, this is good," she said. "I am wrapping it up." She had the television moved up to her room, and then she called me aside to say that it was entirely possible that she might reach a stage that she wouldn't know what she was watching, but I must promise her to keep it on PBS. Later on, when it started getting hard, she told Dad and me that she would like to spend more time alone. She said she was glad that this was arranged, so you got less attached to the people that you love at the end. The next period isn't worth it going to. It was just hard. Do you know, from the very first beginning to the very last end, she never admitted to any pain, never. She called it the chills. The last thing she asked for, it was a picture that we had it in the front entrance hall from the Labrador Retriever that she and Dad had owned when they first married. She said he was completely restless dog. When you are young, she said, you believe in perfectibility of the dogs. 2 weeks ago, I was in bed Wednesday towards dawn. When this Dad and I went to her bedroom. The bedside table was turned over. And she was gone. Dead. When the medical emergency people they got there, they found this. The rest is spilled over. When the table fell, I keep it. I keep it in my hand all day. It makes the day longer.